What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics show. We are live and fired up here on a Thursday morning on the DSM-Media Philadelphia YouTube channel, guys. Happy NBA trade deadline day. That's what the show is going to be all about today. The Sixers appear to be very active with Daryl Morey and Elton Brand, apparently also, Scotty, hitting the phones late last night and all throughout today looking to make a move or moves, plural, possibly. But guys, first and foremost, before we get into all of that, all the rumors, the Joel Embiid injury update and status, make sure to support this channel by smashing that subscribe button. It is the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here on the screen with your host. I'm one half of them, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty, my man. Happy Thursday. Happy trade deadline day. And let's see if we can break any news here over the next hour or so.
Yeah, I'm hoping. It's been a lot of rumors. It's been a lot of hearsay so far for the Sixers front, at least. And yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm juiced up this morning. We've already been talking for about 20 minutes on the side about what's going on and about where we're at and about everything that's being talked about right now. There's different takes being thrown around whether the Sixers should be buyers or sellers. Think we both agree, but nonetheless, the day is here, right? Make or break day for this season, in my opinion, quite honestly, for the Sixers. We've seen over the last few games, obviously depleted by injuries, different things.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But you definitely need to make some type of moves here today in order to keep this team afloat, because we looked at that schedule that's coming up at the end of our last show, and I think it kind of threw us for a little bit of a loop.
Yeah.
And then you look at the standings right now, and you realize the Sixers lost a few in a row. Schedule's not getting easier, and they are falling down the standings right now. I think they're a game and a half, 2.5 games up on Indiana for the 6th seed right now.
Yeah.
So it's time to turn the ship around, get it righted, and get this thing moving in the right direction, man, if we want to keep this team afloat until the big dog gets back. So I'm excited for today, man. I'm all juiced up. I'm going to be glued to my phone all day waiting for something to drop. But
Twitter, refreshing.
Yeah, Twitter, man, Twitter. Hopefully it drops while we're on here. At least one of the 3 trades that
they're going to make it for 3 possibly. Yeah,
Brian Windhorst is a funny dude, man. I don't know if he just likes fucking with Philadelphia. Like if he knows that he's gonna get those clicks if he says things that he says about Philly. But he always gets us hyped up around the trade deadline.
But he knows what's going on, though, Scotty. He knows.
He does.
He knows something.
He does.
Marshall Lynch speaking it into existence.
You know, let me throw
Murray and Bogdan.
At the beginning of the show here today, the wildest things I've heard, trade guys like Oubre, trade guys like Pat Beverly. I've heard those things as well. Sell by the Sixers. Not only Marcus Morris, Rocco, Korkmaz, those type of guys, but Pat Bev and Kelly Oubre who have been, big parts of the team.
Integral parts to this team having success. Earlier on in the year. Let's start there. Let's start with the Joel Embiid news, the injuries, because I think that's a very important piece here. I get what things have looked like over the last week and a half, Scotty. I understand the emotion from Sixers fans and feeling like this team might be a play-in team or potentially fall out of the playoffs altogether with how they've looked. But you and I have spoke this into oblivion already on multiple different shows. I just need everyone for today, for the next couple hours, till we see what Daryl Morey decides to do, because that will kind of answer a lot of questions on this team's future with Joel Embiid coming back or not. I need you to take a deep breath and just understand how depleted this team is in the moment and remember and think back to how much fun and how good they were playing when they were 85% healthy.
Yeah.
Right? Like they have not had the core, everybody fully healthy for probably more than a handful of games this season in total. Right? Because right now, not only are you missing the big fella, you have missed D'Anthony Melton for an extended period of time. You have Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris have missed time off and on. You've missed Marcus Morris at times. You missed Kelly Oubre. You've been missing Nico Batum again right now. Robert Covington hasn't played in forever. Dude, they are so depleted and so injured. And, it's not that I haven't watched the games, but it's just kind of been background noise the last couple of games because how amped
Get
up
out
are
of
you
hand.
really going to get, right?
Yeah.
And I'm scrolling through Twitter as like they're getting killed in the third quarter, and people are losing their minds and making these declarations about what Morey needs to do at the deadline to become sellers and draft capital and et cetera. It's like, man, relax and let's see if this team can get back to being healthy. Even without Embiid, this team is still a good team if everybody else is available without Joel Embiid. Now, I know they're 4-12, 4-13 without Embiid. But, Scotty, how many of those 17 games has everybody else played together?
Right.
Maybe 2. Like
Several
maybe 2
games,
everybody
Tobias
else has played.
missed as well. Maxi's missed some of those games mixed in there as
well.
well.
Like, missed a ton.
That's where
Oubre with the accident.
That's where the stat gets misconstrued, right? Is when you say just Embiid was out. D-Melt's been out for like a month and a half, and I get it. People are not highly fond of D-Melt at all times.
He's an important piece
to this basketball team. To a team. Like, when your team is built around Maxey and Embiid, those are your two integral stars on the roster, right? Every single role player around them matters, right? When you don't have that third piece, that third go-to guy on the roster, every single role player around those guys is going to matter.
Because then it has to elevate the bench, right? But then when the bench gets elevated, we've had injuries there, right? So when a Nico Batum and DeAnthony Melton are out, and then Marcus Morris and Robert Covington are out, well, those two guys would have been playing more minutes, but they're out as well. So now you're even further. Now you're getting into Daniel House, Furkan Korkmaz, KJ Martin territory. And I just sit back and go, what do you want Nick Nurse to do? What do you want this level of talent to accomplish? Now, I get it. Availability is the best ability, okay? So maybe this team will never fully come together and be healthy as a whole unit this season. And I look back and go, I was wrong. But I'm not just going to throw in the towel on February 8th when this team has the potential to be a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference when fully healthy.
And, you know, the crazy part is you'll hear different people, and shout out to Patty again. I mean, I like Pat. He's on 97.5 Morning Show. Obviously, I listen to that show quite often when I'm taking my wife to work. And, you know, listening to him yesterday, he tweeted it out, and he says that the Sixers need to sell. And he's the guy I was talking about who said they should trade Pat Beverly. They should trade like some of the integral parts of this team just to sell and build draft compensation, right? And I have to disagree, man. Like, when you sit here and look around the league, you got teams like Chicago sitting here putting rumors out that they're not willing to sell because they think they can still put it together and put together a competitive team in the Eastern Conference. Now, mind you, Chicago might be delusional as fuck.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like, they might be. But the Sixers are what? 5-6 slots higher than them in the Eastern Conference, and they should throw in the towel? Right. Like, no, the Chicago Bulls should be the ones throwing in the towel in this season, man. And the other side of that argument as well is like, oh, Embiid comes back, right? He comes back from the injury, has to get conditioned for the postseason, blah, blah, blah. He's not going to be himself. Even if he's not himself, man, 85% of Embiid is probably a top 10 player in the NBA, man. Like, that's the reality. Like, the gravity that Embiid draws to him, right? His space that he brings to the team, the attention that he takes, even if he comes back as a decoy, that's going to help Tyrese Maxey and the rest of these guys that are trying to score the ball around him. It's going to help them significantly, man. So just getting Embiid back for the postseason, I get it, might not be in the greatest shape. He might not be fully conditioned, but we talked about it on the before the show, man, and I'll shout it out to you. You said this. You said, even if Embiid comes back without conditioning, he's still probably in the best health, physical shape of his career going into the postseason, right? Like, whether that's second round, first round, he broke his face against Toronto, then goes. This would be the healthiest he comes into the postseason in his career, even if he's just not conditioned.
Yeah,
I don't understand the selling portion, but it was a good part to start the show on here because
I agree.
It's a disservice to Joel Embiid. It's a disservice to the fans that have bought into the season.
What message are you sending that you're just going to punt? And then what direction do you plan on taking this team? Here would be my question for the people that think the Sixers should sell and try to, rake up as much draft compensation as physically possible at this deadline. It's okay if they did, if Daryl Morey does what you're saying should be done. What's the plan?
Yeah.
This draft class is not very deep. This free agency class is not very deep. Even if you're not getting a top 10 draft pick, most likely, and even if you have a mid to somewhat high first round draft pick or multiple first or whatever the case may be, what's your plan to use those draft picks and bring in younger players, rookies in year 30, 31, 32, Joel Embiid's career?
Right.
Is that pushing you closer to a title?
Right.
Absolutely not. What are you going to tell me, man? He's going to stockpile all these draft picks, punt on this year, and then he's going to flip all these firsts for Kevin Durant or something crazy in the summer? You're living a fucking pipe dream. You're living in a pipe dream. So stop that. You don't punt on this year. And I'm glad you said the Joel Embiid thing, man, because I did say that to you before the show, and we talked about it. It would be, everyone gets so caught up in the extended period of time he's missing right now. And I know there's a lot of question marks about it, okay?
Yeah.
But if he comes back in 4 to 6 weeks, that puts you in late March. They play regular season games into April. So he will be back even before the postseason. That will be the healthiest he has been in the playoffs in his entire career. People just get so wrapped up in the time he's missing right now. The fact he had a procedure done, right, Scotty? That's what they get so caught up in. If he comes back, let's just say March 25th, he comes back, right? I don't even know what day of the week that is, if there's a game, whatever. He comes back that day. What's wrong with him? Nothing. Yeah. He's just what? Out of game shape? He's got to work himself back into game shape? That would be the best case scenario for Joel Embiid in his career heading into the playoffs. But people want to punt on the season. It's unbelievable. Listen, you and I have caught a lot of flack from people for holding Joel Embiid accountable in the past, talking about his conditioning, talking about his play in Game 7, whether injured or not, talking about how he's never been past the second round and maybe we have to look inward and blah, 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 blah. Now I get to flip the script. Now we get to sit on the other side of the table because shame, every single one of you talking about punting on this season, shame on you. Shame on you for thinking that if Joel Embiid is to come back, I get it, there's unknown there, but if he is to come back, that he cannot get this team on a playoff run at that level. I just don't get it, man.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I don't get the thought. So what, Scotty? He's going to get surgery in the beginning of February. Not surgery, but have a procedure done in the beginning of February, and then not play basketball, not play a regular season game, a meaningful game until next October.
And you're just going to sell guys that have helped the team get where they're at right now, so that Embiid can come back and play with Terquavion Smith and Jaden Springer and Maxey and Ricky Council. And that'll be the squad for the.
And by the way, can I ask for the people out there, like, what is Patrick Beverley realistically bringing in?
That's the other side, man. Like, guys on minimum contracts
is Pat Bev getting you second round 2 firsts? Like, no. So what's the point?
You're gonna gather another second round pick for Pat Bev. Fine, whatever, right? And you're gonna go use that pick to get Terquavion Smith caliber player, and then to play in the bottom of games like we just saw last night. Like, this is what we're talking about. Like that's in the other side. You mentioned like Kevin Durant and like the other side of things, even Ant Edwards or one of those younger superstars that are on the next level. They're about to enter their peaks, right? Where maybe they decide to leave their organization. If they declare the Sixers as the place they want to go, they'll get there. Like, that's the way the NBA is, man. Like, Kevin Durant will get wherever the fuck he wants to get to. Right. It doesn't matter your draft. You have to have some, right? Like you have to have enough so that the other team doesn't look like ridiculously stupid.
Right.
But you don't have to have 4 or 5 first-round picks to go out and get a player like this. If they say, I will only go to the Sixers and play with Embiid and Maxey, I want traded there, I want a chance at a title, then they'll get there. And the other side of that conversation is when they don't choose the Sixers and you don't have a chance at getting them. And now you saved up all this compensation, all these packages to put together that you're not going to be able to get the player because they don't want to play for you. So this is the stuff that I'm looking at today, man. And that's why I say you have to go in right now and you have to put this team in a spot where they can compete come postseason, come Embiid coming back. Because otherwise, all of this, like, we've waited 10 years to try to win a championship with Embiid. And what, this season, like, fuck no, we're just going to punt.
Right.
Like, this, like, 2 months in,
his best season.
We're gonna say fuck it and sell.
Right. His best season of his career. Breaks a franchise record. Looking at another MVP,
he's trying to get back.
Another scoring title.
He's made it clear he's trying to get back. Like there's been no rumors of Embiid, thinking about shutting it down.
No,
they haven't come out like that. It's the opposite end. Doesn't mean that he won't be shut down at some point. It could very well happen that way. And maybe then hindsight's 2020, right? But at the end of the day, right now, with Embiid making it clear that he wants to get back for the postseason, making it clear that this season is still important for him, then you have to keep moving forward as if you're competing for a championship, man. It's very simple. But maybe let's talk about some of the rumors, man, and some of the options out there.
It is deadline day. And I've been scrolling Twitter, man, and I haven't gotten anything yet. I have not gotten any good news yet. So we'll see if anything breaks here while we're on the show. But a lot of stuff started to swirl last night, Scotty, whether that be from Woj, Windhorst, Kyle Neubeck, Shams, anything. But there was a report that leaked that said the Sixers could make anywhere from 1 to 3 moves, and they would not be surprised. Today, they were linked to Alec Burks and the Pistons with Bojan Bogdanovic last night. Apparently, talks broke down last night, so that's not looking very promising right now. They've been linked to Buddy Hield. They've been linked to Kelly Olynyk. They've been linked to DeJounte Murray and Bogdan Bogdanovic. They've been linked to a lot of different teams, a lot of different players, all of those names I will gladly take. Andre Drummond and the Bulls, gladly take. I just need Daryl Morey to have the same understanding and the same picture that you and I just spoke about for the last 15 minutes. He has to make this roster better today.
Yeah.
And yes, they need to get healthier first and foremost as well. But I mean, you look at some of the pieces that are being rumored to moving today: Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Furkan Korkmaz, just guys that have been injured that don't play a ton, right? If they add in a KJ Martin or a Daniel House, guys that don't necessarily need to be filling a roster spot. Marcus Morris is the one dude that I would say I'd like to keep him, but in no way, shape, or form is he a stopper to any trade probably today.
This was this period right here was his opportunity to like really staple himself in as a piece to not move, and he just hasn't done that. Maybe it's not fair. He's been injured, whatever the case may be, but we just don't have time for it, right? Like that's the big thing there. He's got
Daryl Morey has to continue to work the phones over the next couple hours and improve this roster. When you're watching what has transpired over the last week or so and some of these bad losses, man.
Yeah.
Do you have an exact player or skill? Like, what are you looking for? Are you more focused on the backup big? Like, would an Andre Drummond or a Kelly Olynyk be what you're looking for most? Are you looking for shooting? Are you looking for playmaking? What do you think's the biggest need above all if Daryl Morey was to make a move? Or is it maybe more player over skill type, right? Like if it's DeJounte Murray is an option, DeJounte Murray might take precedent over Kelly Olynyk being the new backup big, for instance.
No, that's a good way to put it, man. DeJounte, Brogdon would be probably my two guys that I would want the most out of all of those guys. And it's just what they bring: the shooting, the playmaking, a sturdier part of defense for a guard on the team. You talk about Jaden Springer, who got, he started last night, right? And he got a lot of praise for his defense, rightfully so. He's a great defender. He's shown that over the last few weeks. But no offensive game, right? We have nobody that presents both sides of the ball here in the backcourt outside of really Maxey. I mean, Bev has showed signs of being able to score this season, some stuff that I haven't seen from him in his career, quite honestly. But do you want to rely on that? No, like you don't. DeAnthony Melton, he can get hot from the 3-point line, but once again, not the greatest shooter for that combo guard next to Maxey. So to that point, love to bring in any type of shooting next to Maxey just to open the floor up for him. Buddy Hield's obviously another name. Bogdan, Bojan, these are all guys that can space the floor and open up the floor for the rest of the team. And it's just as simple as knocking down shots. I mean, even as simple as like Alec Burks, if you can bring him along with a Bogdanovich from Detroit, man, he's a guy that can space the floor. Like he's a guy, if he's in the corner wide open, you can most likely count on him to knock down that shot. And those are the things that the Sixers need to look at adding. But I do think it is, I don't want to use the term mandatory because I don't want to like sell out on the rest of the season if it doesn't happen, but it feels like you have to bring in two players and you have to bring in a guard to put beside Maxey that can, one, defend and then two, shoot the three ball. And then on the other side, you have to bring in a big, man. Like whether that's Drummond or now Drummond and Olynyk are interesting because they present like two different cases in my opinion. Like Olynyk,
stretch big.
I think he's the better player. Like he's the better piece in modern day NBA, but Drummond is the better piece without Embiid.
Yeah.
But if you have Olynyk with Embiid, that's a perfect fit, even to put him in
at the
right beside Embiid when Embiid comes back. When we talk about Morey Markkinen, that's a similar fit on a lesser scale, right?
Right. Laurie's more athletic, etc.
I would take either one of them guys. I would take either one of those big guys.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think when you ask the question, I go to guard immediately in my head. Guard shooting, because the biggest malpractice of this team, while they're struggling defensively right now, the biggest malpractice of this team right now is the shooting from the 3-point line. They don't hit threes.
I agree. And again, I think that a lot of that has to do with injuries, right? When you're missing DeAnthony Melton, who's shooting around 40%, Nico Batum was shooting over 40%. You're missing guys that can knock it down for you, right? But still, they are really struggling to shoot from the outside, man. I also look at playmaking is a big, big need for this team right now. Without Embiid, obviously, for the foreseeable future. But even when you get Batum and Melton back, neither of those guys are playmaking with the ball in their hands, right? Melton, 2% of the time can beat you off the dribble, maybe get out in transition. Batum's not doing it at all. So you add a little bit shooting with those two, you add almost zero playmaking. You need another ball handler, another guy that can just get you a bucket. Like you talked about. You add an Alec Burks with a Bogdanovich. Right now, Alec Burks is not the target, right? That's not what I'm saying. No, but you add an Alec Burks to come off the bench behind Melton and Maxey, right? And now you have Pat Bev, Burke, whatever. And you add Bogdanovich, a shooter / somewhat of a playmaker, right? Because he does, in the most unathletic way, put the ball on the floor and beat guys to the rim and get fouled and everything. You look at it from that point, that's almost a perfect package. Yeah. And then if you added, on a lesser scale from Olynyk or Drummond, added a backup big.
And I think something to add in there with Bojan, like specifically that package from Detroit. The interesting part with that is that in Detroit, these guys aren't playing next to an Embiid, right? And mind you, Embiid's out right now. They wouldn't play next to him now.
Well, they're not playing next to a Maxey. They're not
playing next to a Maxey. Yeah, that's my point. And so when you put them around better players as well, then it allows them more space to work and get their game going. So
let me ask you a question about Bojan, though. Yeah. Because what's he making this year? He's making money in Detroit, isn't he, this year?
Let me look it up.
I believe because if I remember correctly, you and I were talking about how would that have to be a part of a Tobias Harris trade to make the money work. But from the tweets and the rumors I've seen nothing alluding to the fact that Tobias Harris is going to be a part of any move.
Yeah, I think if you combine like a Marcus Morris and
Furkan,
like a Furkan, a Roko, or something like that.
Yeah,
So
it could make the money work.
His average salary 23, 24, 20 million this year. Okay. And then partially guaranteed next year, 19 million, but there's ways to get out of that contract. He's on an expiring deal.
Right.
So yeah, that.
But then you get to fit. So let me ask you about that. What does that look like with a Bojan Bogdanovic? Which I'm all for it. You figure it out, right? Like we've talked about how I don't love the fit of DeMar DeRozan next to Joel Embiid. Well, with Embiid missing this time, I'm all for a DeMar DeRozan trade, and then you just figure it out in the playoffs. You just have to try. You have to try it at least, right? But Bogdanovic, if you're not moving Tobias, what does that look like? Bogdanovic at the 3, Tobias at the 4?
Man, you know what I'm trying to keep out of my head right now is like the way Tobias has been playing lately.
Yeah.
So it really scrambles my brain when you ask me this question because he's been horrible the last 2 games. But yeah, man, I think with that you would have to go that route. It is interesting. It almost leads me to that point where it's like, yeah, you still need to bring in a big man because that defense looks very suspect. With Paul Reed at center, with Tobias at 4, Bojan at 3, and then whoever you have at the 2 and 1. I guess it would still be Maxey and DeAnthony Melton or Oubre. Batum's got to fit in there as well, right? Does Batum come back and start without Embiid in the lineup though? That's a big question. A guy that can't really, dribble. he just shoots and makes the right passes and plays good defense. So it's interesting. Yeah, I say you just figure it out. It doesn't sound great
I agree.
When you think about it, but I think you just have to figure it out. And at the end of the day, it sounds better than Daniel House. It sounds better than Robert Covington. It sounds better than even Kelly Oubre starting in the starting lineup, right? Bojan Bogdanovic is a much smarter player than Kelly Oubre. Which I think is the benefit there. So, yeah.
I love Bogdanovic's game. Bogdanovic is a dude that can get you 24 a night.
He's a smart player, man. And that's something else that is something like aside from skill, aside from like position, they need to get smart basketball players in here. Pat Bev brings some IQ to the team.
Yeah.
They need some more, man. They need some I've seen it on Twitter. They need more basketball players, man. They need more guys that aren't necessarily like plugged in or penciled into a specific role, but that can do a lot of everything, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what we're talking about with a lot of these players outside of like the big men that are penciled in for roles. So I think there's a lot of different ways the Sixers can go in the deadline here. That's why it's going to be extremely frustrating if nothing happens.
If nothing occurs, I agree. Man, I'm going to tell you this, Scotty. If nothing happens, F the asking prices, whatever. I think that's a big indicator as to how they actually feel internally about Joel's timeline. I mean, if Morey literally sits on his hands or makes one minimal minor trade, even like a George Hill or less scale, I think that tells you a lot about the direction of this team. I mean, the head coach,
agree with that.
Nick Nurse, was at a podium last night with one of these in his face and alluded to some things about what they may need and where they need to improve and dealing with injuries and all that. So he's asking for it. I think Morey knows it. But speaking of asking prices, like to Brett's point, with the Hornets and Jazz are asking for it. I saw the Bulls might be asking for 3 first-rounders for Andre Drummond. Does that worry you at all, that the market is so overinflated with just ridiculous ideas from some of these teams, man? Like, in what world are we living in that Andre Drummond is getting 3 firsts, or that Kelly Olynyk is 2 firsts and a player or something? In what world, man? Like, I want them to come help our team. We'd be better with them, but I ain't giving you 3 first round. And that's coming from someone that doesn't value draft capital in terms of trade assets like that when I'm trying to win a championship. So no shot am I doing that deal.
Yeah, no. I mean, Alex Caruso has like become the most overrated player in the NBA.
It's unbelievable.
Just approaching this deadline, he's talked about with multiple first round picks to get him. Like, that's ridiculous, man. Like, and to that point, it does create a lot of doubt in my mind about what's going to happen today, because part of me feels like people are just not willing to work with Daryl Morey, man. They're not willing to potentially get snaked by Daryl Morey. And I think it's kind of that Howie Roseman effect, right? Where Morey has kind of got this very good reputation of getting the best out of deals. And it really worries me from that front that people are just going to play hardball with Morey. And a lot of these teams, they've done it in past deadlines, right? The last couple of years, they've said, we're just not willing to help you guys, right? And that's what worries me. Because I told you this before the show, man. Like, mind you, Xavier Tillman, not as valuable as, say, an Andre Drummond or a Kelly Olynyk by any means, but we could use a big body like that right now. We could use some size and rebounding like that right now. And the Boston Celtics, they just go out and they get it done, man.
One about their business, under the radar.
Drew Holiday situation, right? The Drew Holiday situation before the season, there was like 1 day of rumors of Drew Holiday to the Celtics before it actually happened. It just got done. And that's my worry, is that teams around us like the Celtics are just able to easily go out and do what they want in the market. And we're the ones that kind of get penciled in as like nobody wants to work with us for some reason. But maybe that's not the case, and maybe Daryl Morey can, fulfill his reputation today. And that's what I'm hoping, is that by all means you figure something out, right? You can't have beef with every single team in the league, and there's plenty of guys around the league that should be available for the taking. But pack it up, people. Wizards are telling teams, this is what we've become. This is where we're at, right? Like, Kuzma's untouchable.
Yeah.
A player on the Nets, like they say Mikal Bridges is untouchable. A player on the Nets is untouchable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that real life? The Bulls think they're going to compete. They think they're going to compete the second half of the season. That's why they're standing pat.
Mm-hmm. A DeJounte Murray trade to the Pelicans. I don't know, man. I do agree. There is a pit in your stomach. And look, there has been way too much smoke over the last 24 hours for me not to believe that Daryl Morey is going to be busy today. We have 4 more hours till the deadline occurs, right? I think it's 4 p.m. There's no way in my mind that he doesn't make a move or moves, right? But you also have that pit in your stomach of what you just talked about, where other teams with just as minimal or less assets than we have, right? Less expiring contracts, less draft capital, less younger talent, and they'll find ways to do something.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Pelicans. What are the Pelicans going to offer for DeJounte Murray? And if it comes out that it's like 2 firsts, a second, and a called player.
Chris Haynes just tweeted that a deal between Atlanta and New Orleans for DeJounte has halted with no progress in sight by the trade deadline. So
there you go.
That one's there it is. Marshawn Lynch got us. So that
Marshawn Lynch got us with the copy and paste.
Everything is getting shut down right now. Like every deal that comes across, any rumors that come across, you always get the rumor right after that the talks have halted. So it's really a big smoke screen right now, man. But I will say that's like the biggest worry for me. Like, worst case scenario wouldn't be the Sixers necessarily doing nothing at the deadline. Worst case scenario would be the New York Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Milwaukee Bucks doing something at the deadline. Even the Indiana Pacers. Like, that's the thing with Buddy Hield. I don't understand why the Pacers would trade him to us. I don't, because they're right below us in the standings. Yeah. Why would they help us at all, right? Unless they clearly win that trade. And to that point, do you really want Buddy Hield that bad to where the Indiana Pacers fleece you? So man, it's a tough situation, but you cannot allow these teams above you as well to get better.
Never mind. You know what I hate, dude? I thought this had just come out. I hate when you refresh Twitter and you think it's like an up-to-date tweet, and then you look and it's from 13 hours ago. Yeah. Like Kyle Neubeck's tweet, an article of the Sixers calling on Malcolm Brogdon, like when I refresh, just came up, and I'm like, oh, and then I see 13 hours ago, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well,
seeing Brogdon, to me, man, Brogdon feels almost like the perfect piece. Like he feels like the perfect thing that we're looking for. We love DeJounte, but DeJounte's asking price might just be a little bit over what we want to do, right? And DeJounte makes a little bit more money than Malcolm Brogdon makes, has a little bit less winning experience than Brogdon has. Brogdon is locked into next year, and I know that people.
No way. That's how you feel?
Man, I don't see how
I
you
don't
can
know
say
about
that. I'll say this to Marshawn. Provide some context there.
Is it the injury concern? Is it like the injury concern that George Hill had when he came over? But in terms of what that George Hill was bringing the Sixers, that version
like
of George
Hill didn't win
what?
Sixth Man of the Year the year before he got traded.
Yeah, like Malcolm Brogdon can literally give you 20 plus, like average 20 plus.
I get it, but I don't know. Is it just like the lack of? I don't know, man. I'm looking at his numbers. I mean, 39 games played, 16 points per game, 5.5 assists per game. Shoots what? 40% from three?
Probably.
Where's the 3-point? Yeah, 41% from three. Shot 44%.
He's talking about the drop off from what he would want the most, which would be a DeJounte Murray trade or something like that. And if you come away with
is 31, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I get that. It's just I was so in on DeJounte Murray, probably like 2 weeks ago, Scotty, and I think I've just come to the realization that it's just not happening.
It's not gonna
happen. Over the last week, I just gave up on any idea that they are trading for him today. Yeah. So he wants Darryl to swing for the fences. I hear you, man. Yeah. I hear you. What do you think? Let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. What do you think is more important with Joel being out for such an extended period of time? A swing for the fence type of move. Just started out there. DeJounte Murray, DeMar DeRozan, right? If it was at all possible. Would one move to get one of those guys be more beneficial to the Sixers staying afloat? Or would the 2 to 3 moves of 3 really good of just good, solid players, role players, what you need, be more beneficial to keep them afloat?
I think honestly right now, man, if you look at this Sixers roster, I mean, there's 2 avenues you can go. And I think swinging for the fences, it's all perspective based, right? Yeah. Like DeMar DeRozan swinging for the fences, that doesn't feel like a swinging for the fences to me. Like that feels like that should be somebody that the Sixers can obtain if they really want to obtain him. Where DeJounte is kind of in the middle of a swing for the fences. I would say Lauri Markkanen and Mikal Bridges. Those are the swings for the fences of the world. And I think in that case, if you could somehow get Lauri Markkanen, right? If it costs you Tobias, something else, in multiple first-round picks, absolutely would do that. Absolutely would do that over bringing in like 2 to 3 guys, right? Mm-hmm. Lauri Markkanen could keep this team afloat with Tyrese Maxey the rest of the season. I truly
agree.
believe that. I agree. But when you take it down to like a DeJounte or even further down to like a DeMar DeRozan, when I'm talking about fit, I'm not talking about caliber of player, but then I would almost rather have like a Bojan and a Drummond or a Bojan and an Olynyk, and then maybe you get Kyle Lowry in the buyout market. Now, I get it. I'm not trying to rely on Kyle Lowry. I just think it is a viable option depending on which way you go.
Right. If you added 2 other pieces and then went out and got him from the buyout market.
I mean, if you're going to swing for the fences with DeJounte, just swing for him wholeheartedly and bring in DeJounte and Clint Capella, and then you bring in your backup center option right there, and he expires next year. So if you really want to swing for the fences, go all in then, right?
Let me ask you this. Right? We've talked a lot about this team just overall getting healthier, Embiid excluded, like just the rest of the guys getting back. Yeah. If he makes, a move for 2 solid role players today or whatever, how important is it that Tobias Harris gets his act together, bro?
Yeah.
Like, see, that's the thing. We're talking about all these pieces because it's fun, right? The idea of bringing in guys that can help. That's what you focus on. But if they make a move for Kelly Olynyk and whatever, just a combo guard, that's a nice addition. They themselves are not, are going going to be what pushes the Sixers over the hump till Embiid gets back, and then further into the postseason. It's what your already established roster can be next to these guys and how they can fit there. If you went out and you made this team better, that still means you need Tyrese Maxey to play at an all-star level.
Yeah.
It still means you need Nick Batum and Kelly Oubre to do what they're supposed to do. And you watch Tobias the last couple of nights, like you said, just how disgusting it's been, man. Like
bad basketball.
I'll say this. I haven't seen any cookie emojis being tweeted from Daryl Morey's Twitter account
part, lately. Man. And that's why I fucking hated that Daryl Morey put himself in that. As soon as he started trolling the fans, you put yourself in this position where now you can't fucking move this guy, right? You look like a fucking moron if you trade Tobias Harris now. And I hate that he did that because that would be the move today, man. Get this guy out of here. Like, get him out of here and bring in Bojan, and you're better. Right there, boom, you're better. Like, it's that simple, man. Like, it is frustrating. It is frustrating, Marshawn.
I think the most frustrating part, man, when it comes to Toby, it's just like you watch the Utah game.
Yeah.
Where he gives 27-28 on super high shooting next to Maxey going for 50+.
Good
you
shots,
watch other games where he's elevated to go for 37, right? Like you've seen the moments, you see this scoring ability, and then it just it crumbles. It's what it does. It crumbles.
Literally.
In your hands.
Like, it's so frustrating, man. It really is. Like, it's insanity. It really is insanity. And to your point, it's gonna be a big part of the equation going down the stretch. And I will say this, Woj said it on his podcast this morning about the Warriors. Their kind of their play this trade deadline is that guys on the end of their bench may end up being better than some of the guys that they would even be able to obtain. Like if those guys can just get their act together, then that will put them in a better place than maybe even if they made some trades at the deadline. I don't think the Sixers are in that predicament here. I will say that. I do think Tobias, he needs to get his act together, and that's going to be a big piece down the stretch of them righting this ship. But I don't think they have the guys at the end there of the bench right now without Embiid. That's a big key, right? Mm-hmm. Without Embiid, even if they get healthy, will they be able to step up and help this team get to where they need to get to without Embiid? I don't think that they have that good grace like the Warriors do. So yeah, man, Tobias, God, I can't get over it, man. Cause how long did I spend on these pods like defending this guy over the last couple of years?
Hey,
and
man, I've done it
the last
as well.
2 years.
Like,
I've come to fruition with it. This guy is not it.
He is such a roller coaster ride of a player, man. Like there's been moments where he looks like he's an all-star. Obviously, what was that, 2 seasons ago? He should have been an all-star that year, right? Doesn't get the nod. There's, tell a friend to tell a friend, I'm a shooter. And he goes on like an 8-game run of just unbelievable scoring and numbers and 3-point shooting. And then he just does what he does and scores 8 points, or he scores 2 points in 45 minutes of the playoff game. It's unbelievable. But yes, Scotty, would you like to tell Marshall Lynch where we'll be later?
Yeah, so we will be live later, not before the trade deadline, but right after the trade deadline.
4 or 5.
Go live around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be live on this channel and the Scotty Talks NBA channel, so we'll be streaming to both of them here. So hop right on here on the DSM-Media Philadelphia channel. We'll talk the whole trade deadline, but we'll definitely focus in on the Sixers mostly there. Yep. So, definitely tap in. Hopefully we have good things to talk about. My worst nightmare, guys, is that we come to this post-trade deadline conversation, live stream, and all we can talk about is what we didn't do and what we have to look forward to or to look down on the rest of the season. That's my worst nightmare today. I want something to give me some excitement back because this team, quite honestly, the last few games, mind you, injuries, they have been draining. and we need to right this ship the best way we can,
Yeah.
man. God,
Well,
that is my worst
unfortunately,
nightmare.
man, it doesn't look like we're going to get any breaking news over the next couple of minutes, as there hasn't been a rumor, talks are heating up, tweet, a lot of nothing right now early on this Thursday morning of trade deadline day. So with about less than 5 hours left, we'll see if anything heats up. But anything else before we get out of here, man, and start to get ready for that show later tonight? Any other player, any other team that you think could be a seller, anything the Sixers and Daryl Morey might be looking to do before the 3 p.m. deadline?
I think all options should be on the table, man. I think we've made that clear over this this show this morning. All options should be on the table for the Sixers. If they know something that we don't know, then fine, right? If they know that Embiid's not, coming back this season, and they just don't want to break that news to the fan base, understood. And, we'll find that out later, of course. But I guess what I would throw to you, man, how much is Daryl Morey's reputation riding on this trade deadline, in your opinion? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, where are you at with Daryl Morey right now?
You know what's funny is I think he has actually caught a break somehow with this Embiid injury and all the other injuries, because I think it's made the fan base so divided on what he should do, whether he should sell or stand pat or be buyers and be aggressive like we're suggesting he should. Because if it was the other way around, if it was this team was rolling, but that, you still want to be aggressive at the deadline and Embiid's healthy, and he failed to really improve this team, or he made one minuscule move, I think he'd be getting crushed.
Yeah.
The fact that
I do agree.
No one really knows the timeline of Joel. No one really knows, what can keep this team afloat, essentially. He'll have too many supporters one way or the other. If he's aggressive, you're going to have people like you and I excited. If he sells, you're going to have the other side excited and okay. Not excited, but okay with what he did.
Yeah, I do get that point, man. It's almost like you can't even indict Morey today if he doesn't make a move, right? Like, because we just don't know why that is. We have to hear why. But
right. The only thing that you could accept if you were you and I would be that they're keeping the Joel situation more hush hush than they're allowing, and he's probably not going to be back this year. So what's the point?
And I think that's the side that I would cope with, right? Like
that is the only side I can cope with. If Joel Embiid, listen to me right now, Scotty. If Joel Embiid is going to be back in mid to late March or early April, and he's ready to go for the postseason, he just has to get his ass back in shape, essentially. If that's all it is, and we have the same team that we have today, I am going to be very, very angry. And for all of you people out there that are watching or going to watch this or never see this, if you are one of those people that think they should sell or stand pat, and he does come back, and this team is a second-round exit again in 7 games to the Celtics or the Bucks or whoever, I don't want to hear a goddamn word about this roster. I don't want to hear about Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse, anything, because y'all said that we should punt on the season and get him healthy. So I don't want to hear it, man. Yeah. If he comes back and we have the same team and they're another early exit or can't get over the hump, all of those people need to keep their mouths shut because you didn't want them to do anything now.
Yeah, I agree with this comment too, man. If you're Joel and you believe that you're going to get back this season, force their hand, man. Make them go out and do a deal, right? Like, everybody needs to put their efforts into making this team better, and that includes Joel as well. From
listen, man, we look around our sports teams and our best players, our MVPs, right? Jalen Hurts, he wanted AJ Brown, he wanted this player.
Yeah,
talks to Howie Roseman next day, draft night. Howie Roseman brings in AJ Brown, they get better. Bryce Harper's the biggest endorser, the biggest influence probably in the city when it comes to his, president of baseball operations and GM and bringing in guys to make this team better and attracting talent to come here. He's done it over and over again. Joel should have influence, man. If Joel says, I'm going to be back. X, Y, or Z can help us and can help me and fit next to me. Daryl Morey should do whatever it takes. Now, we don't know that Joel is doing any of that, but yeah, I mean, Jimmy Butler is probably the only person he's ever endorsed, ever, unless there's things going on behind closed doors, obviously. Yeah. But outside of Jimmy, you've never heard Joel say anything about, wanting or needing a player.
I almost feel like Joel is just so confident in himself that he's in his head. He's like, yeah, I can make it work with whatever. Like, he said that before, right? Like,
listen,
obviously, we know that's not the truth.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, I would love to believe that could be the case, and you are that dominant. You're that great. Brother, we haven't been to an Eastern Conference Finals. So clearly, something's not clicking with just the way things are going. So, Daryl Morey, go improve this team. Be aggressive.
Yeah.
One bigger trade, 2, 3 smaller trades that really help and deepen and strengthen this team, man. And let's just put our head down, get healthier, make these moves, and wait for the big fella to come back, man. That's all we can kind of do at this point. Yes, Sixers fans, I understand the next month or two could be a little bleak. It's not all going to be fun, but I'm telling you, and I almost want to promise you, if the rest of the gang gets healthier and he makes a move or two, this team's going to win ball games. It is not going to be much more of the Nets game and the Warriors game last night.
Yeah.
He has to make this team better and stay afloat.
Let me throw this to you before we get out of here, man. We got about 9 minutes left here. So, the Phillies, right? Dave Dombrowski, man, came out and said that he put all the money on the table for Yamamoto. How did you feel about that? And the caveat question is, what are our real chances of getting a guy like Jordan Montgomery? Like that's
I think in an odd way, man, as quiet as the offseason has been for Dombrowski and the Phillies, when you are talking free agency and trades and stuff like that right now, the Sixers, yesterday's comments by Dombrowski just reinstored the confidence I have in him already, man. He basically said, yes, things may seem quiet. That doesn't mean that they are quiet or are going to be quiet. He talked about, getting ahead on the jump with Aaron Nola, wanting to get ahead on the jump with Zach Wheeler in the future. But the steam that's picking up in terms of a starting pitcher or a reliever, I saw an article before we came on here that they've made a call to Cleveland regarding Clase, I believe his last name. It just feels like that, like I almost said Daryl Morey. Dave Dombrowski is on the verge of making a move over the next.
And
honestly, the next 2 weeks, probably.
You know what I appreciate about it? I appreciate the transparency, right? Where he fully discussed what was on the table for Yamamoto, what they're willing to do this offseason to make the team better. He talked about Rojas, right? Like how they like his potential. There's a chance that he could be a starter, but they're not going to pencil that in. They're going to keep their options open. And then he even talked about the mentality of, outfielders coming in as kind of alternative options, not everyday starters, and not willing to take that role with the team. Like, just creating that clarity and transparency is a little refreshing.
I was going to say,
for a Philadelphia GM.
It is refreshing to get, like you said, transparency and truth and honesty, because I get it. It's posturing not only to your fan base and protecting yourself as an organization, but it's also posturing publicly to the league, right? Like you're not just going to tip your hand on who and what you're looking for and what you're willing to spend, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
Whether that comes to players and agents, whether that comes to teams and organizations for trades, but to lay out what has happened, what you're looking to do, what kinds of guys you're looking for, etc. I mean, when we've dealt with how the Sixers handle injuries, when we've dealt with Howie and Nick Sirianni press conferences, you haven't gotten a lot of transparency and truth. So when you get that, it's like, okay. And then you sit back and you go, regardless what they do, this is still a top 3 team in the National League. Like, let's just get that out of the way. They are a top 3 team in the National League. They're probably going to win 90-plus games. A full season of Bryce Harper No baseball World Classic before the season for Trey Turner and those guys. So they come in fresh and ready to go and not in any kind of slump, right? It's still a damn good team. Are they good enough to win a World Series or get to a World Series? I don't know. But they'll be there in the conversation. You have the trade deadline in the summer to improve. So my message for Phillies fans as well would be patience. It's okay. Like I love moves. It's exciting. It's exciting when they bring in a shiny new toy, whether it's a big power bat or a strong-armed reliever or a top 2 starter, right? It's exciting. I want it. It makes the club better.
Yeah.
They're still a very, very dangerous baseball team. So
no, I agree, man. It's the Dodgers, it's the Braves, and then it's the Phillies, right? And depending on your opinion, your perspective, how wide the gap is.
The Dodgers and the Braves have not accomplished anything more than the Phillies the last 3 years.
Yeah.
In fact, the last 2 years, the Phillies have gone further than both of those teams. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's maybe that's something to end the show on, man. It's just in the day-to-day covering these teams, especially Philly sports, man, it's so overreactionary to the point where sometimes you just got to take a step back. And it's also a lot easier to do when you're a few weeks out after the results, right? Absolutely. And I think with the Phillies team right now, we're a few weeks out from like the Yamamoto signing and the Shohei Ohtani signings, right? Where the Dodgers just get everyone. We're a few weeks out from it.
Yeah.
And there's still guys available out there, right? There's still guys to be had. And it's it just speaks, to the people that are down on the Phillies going into this season. It's like, even with the team they have, right now, they can compete with the tops of the NL, right? Like that's what we're talking about here. It's the same thing with the Eagles, man. Like, okay, they had a monumental meltdown. But if you think that I'm not going to be fully bought in by the start of next season, after the draft,
Nick Fangio and Kellen Moore, baby.
Yeah. You're crazy, man. You're crazy. It's the same with the Sixers, so on and so forth, man. You just gotta give yourself some time sometimes to sit back and analyze.
I mean, Scotty, you talk about overreaction
as well, right? Like you talked about the World Baseball Classic. It just makes me think about Jalen Hurts and everything that was on his shoulders this year, coming off the Super Bowl trip where he lost, getting a contract, and there's just so many things that we kind of forget about in the moment. Yeah, you got to give him credit.
I'm with you, man. I mean, Scotty, there was a tweet while we were on here that I didn't even read out because it didn't deserve it at the time. But talking about like overreactionary, a Sixers fan, and this got a lot of traction, a lot of likes, a lot of retweets, a lot of comments on this tweet. A Sixers fan tweeted out last night during the Warriors game. You watched that game with all the injuries and everything, and his takeaway and what he typed out was, there's no way this team can be buyers tomorrow, LMAO. You just watched.
Whoa.
What happened? Buddy Hield? Buddy Hield?
Ooh. Why is it not popping up as
yes,
the first
sir.
thing?
Oh, hold on.
Marcus Morris?
It's nearing a deal from Shams.
I got from Woj. The Indiana Pacers are trading Buddy Hield to the 76ers for Marcus Morris, Furkan Korkmaz,
and 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Buddy Hield, you are as Philadelphia 76er.
People were in the comments like, no, not Marcus Morris.
Yep, Woj says it's done.
Let's go. We got a shooter, man. We've been doing this for like 5 years for Buddy Hield.
That's interesting, man.
Oh, man.
That is interesting.
Furkan Korkmaz finally gets what he wished for.
He gets his wish.
It's a 3-point shooter,
just a sniper from the outside, bro.
And again, man. Shoot Buddy 10 threes a game. Feel free.
Yeah, Buddy Hield's a guy that we didn't talk too much about on this show, and I feel like I kind of shoved it way down, because he's been rumored to be a Sixer for the past like 7 years. It feels like.
We've done the show about
like,
Buddy Hield
what are the odds, right? This is a guy. Now you could talk about the money in the contract, man. They gave up second round picks Furkan Korkmaz and Marcus Morris. Like, nobody should be upset with what was given up in this move. And this is a guy that can help the team now and can also be a great fit around Joel Embiid if and when he should return later on in the year.
Yeah.
Exactly to Brett's point.
Career 40% three-point shooter, career 7.7 three-point attempts per game. That's exactly what the Sixers needed. Now, I will say, Buddy Hield is one of those cases where you still need to do something else, right? You still need to go and get a backup big, right? But this is the first domino. I'm happy, man. My juices are flowing now.
Yeah.
I feel like I was like talking myself out of the Sixers doing anything as we went through the show. And then now Daryl Morey blesses back with this news. But man,
yeah, this is the one downer, man. Like, I know the money. I know the money wasn't gonna work, but like it couldn't have been like Daniel House or something instead. But yeah,
feels wrong with Marcus Morris. But hey, he's going to another playoff team. They get some toughness.
Is this true? I just looked it up. I thought this says Buddy Hield is on the last year of his contract for the 2023-24 season at $19.2 million and is slated to be one of the top free agents next summer. Unless, did he sign an extension this year?
Maybe it's not guaranteed. Let me check here. No, he's an unrestricted free agency. I'm on is it Spot Rack or whatever?
Spot Track.
Spot Track. Yeah, 2024 unrestricted free agent. That's what I'm seeing here.
So that tells you something as well. Now, honestly, you get him now. Maybe it finds a way. You find a way to entice him to come back next year if the fit's great and everything, and he wants to be back.
JJ Redick beside Embiid. Imagine Buddy Hield beside Embiid. More size. Right. I mean,
right.
Buddy Hield could have career seasons next to Embiid. Quite honestly, next to Embiid and Maxey. Yeah, Brett. So he's an unrestricted free agent next year. The thing about it, right? You basically trade second round picks for him.
Correct. And what my point about him being a free agent this year, I think it gives you a sense of direction with what Daryl Morey is going to try to do today and what the plan is. The plan is a move like that would suggest the plan is to still try to get better and win this year, right?
Yeah.
Trading for a guy that's a free agent this summer. Yeah, I agree, Brett. Like, and again, by getting him in here now, provides him with a little less than half a season, some, hopefully, knock on wood, some playoff atmosphere with this team. You do that. Maybe he wants to come back. So you work on it from there.
Man.
Yeah, man. I was just about to wrap this.
Feel good.
I was just about to wrap this up.
Man, so what's that lineup look like now? Let's think. Just right now, right? Improvement. So Maxey, Buddy Hield, Oubre, Batum when he gets healthy, right? The smarter, the better defender, better passer. So Maxey, Buddy Hield, Batum, better three-point shooter, Tobias, and then you still have the Paul Reed thing, which needs fixed, right? We know that though. So
okay, now so there's block one. Okay, you got step one done. Shooter, somewhat of a playmaker, Buddy Hield. Okay,
yeah, didn't have to give up Melton.
Right now you go. If you add a Kelly Olynyk or Andre Drummond, is this a successful last day or what?
Yeah, it is, and this is the caveat. If you're able to get Drummond or Olynyk, the caveat that we've always talked about was Kyle Lowry. Now you get another backup point guard in the buyout market because Kyle Lowry is going to pick Philadelphia over most other teams. And Philadelphia.
You know what I'm excited for, man?
Yeah.
Buddy Hield Sixer props.
Oh my God, the 3 points.
Over in threes.
Oh my goodness, man. Where are they going to set him at? That's where I'm curious.
4.5 probably. On this team, bro, on this team that lacks 3-point shooting, they're going to jack up Buddy Hield.
And you know how much he's going to help Tyrese Maxey even. Like not just Embiid, not just the other guys, but Tyrese Maxey, the floor spacing.
Yeah.
Get it? He doesn't bring the playmaking that we were looking at, but the floor spacing alone. I mean, top tier shooter in the NBA, man. I'm beyond excited. This is like the best shooter that we've had since JJ Redick.
Yeah.
Like literally the best 3-point shooter we've had since JJ Redick. And we saw how well JJ Redick worked with guys like Embiid. Man, that is exciting, dude. I'm beyond excited that we got it done early here today. Because it gives us plenty of time, right?
Yep.
If this deal happens closer to the deadline, doesn't leave time to figure out what resources you have left to make another move, but he has the rest of the day.
Yeah, now you know what I need to see now? Man. I don't need to see the next move right away. I need to see the Woj tweet. The Sixers, Daryl Morey still remains active with 3 hours to the deadline or whatever. So you do that, and it's like, okay, he's still making his rounds and looking at what he can bring in. And no, you cannot blitz Tyrese Maxey anymore with Joel Embiid off the floor.
I would say this pushes the big man replacement up to the top for me. I agree. Think I would side that way. Because the other side of it, I don't think they're gonna have the resources to get guy like DeJounte Brogdon at this point, right? Like without having that Marcus Morris contract.
Yeah.
So that's gone. But you can still go after lower tiered contracts with guys like who is it? Rocco, KJ Martin, those type of guys.
Rocco still helps the money wise. Yeah. Daniel House probably adds something.
Daniel House, that's the other guy.
And then here, man, you gave up second round picks, okay? I know not everybody, and I'm not saying you just throw first round picks at everybody, but if you got to throw a first round pick in to sweeten the deal and a pick swap or whatever, you do it. Yeah. You do it. Okay. Like you don't, this doesn't need to be, like, I just don't know. Like some people love to just sit on their hands when it comes to first round draft picks and not wanting to move on from them. And I understand that, but if it takes one and a pick swap to bring in Kelly Olynyk or Andre Drummond with whatever salary fillers and players, you do the damn deal. You improve the team. Let me ask you this, man.
I don't know how the money works, like contract wise, between Olynyk. Like I don't know how much he's making, but if Utah said, "Give us Paul Reed for Kelly Olynyk,"
how ironic! How ironic that we matched their offer.
Right. They're the team that wanted Paul Reed in the offseason. They tried to sign him, right, as a restricted free agent. And they say they want Paul Reed in return for Kelly Olynyk. But Olynyk, obviously, I believe he's on an expiring contract. Let me just check his contract here.
Trade everything for marketing.
Hey. Man, you put marketing on this team. I mean, like, now once again, you trade Tobias like 3 firsts if you know maybe it picks. I don't know what all you would have to do there. If you're able to do that, that would be amazing fit, right? Buddy Hield, Lauri Markkanen, Tyrese Maxey to keep you afloat, along with the other role players. Yeah, Olynyk is on an expiring, but
does this have any traction, Brett? That would not make any sense to me, but.
Is that like a real thing, Brett?
Oh yeah, there it is. Oh, I just lost it. I hate Twitter now, dude. It like refreshes out of nowhere.
Why would the Raptors?
That's what I'm saying.
Do that? Yeah, they're trading Kelly Olynyk, Ochai Agbaji to Toronto Raptors for Kyra Lewis, Otto Porter, and a 2024 first round pick.
Yeah, no, it's legit. But to his point, it makes the Buddy trade look even better.
Yeah,
to throw in a first rounder.
Yeah, first rounder, man.
That's the other thing, man. That a couple people and shout out to Sean Barnard put out a tweet about Buddy Hield over the last couple minutes as well. Dude's a 41% career 3-point shooter, sniper from the outside on high volume. Buddy Hield's also a very talented scorer.
Yeah.
Buddy Hield can do a lot more than just stand at the 3-point line. You mentioned the JJ Redick fit around Joel, right? We remember that 2-man game back in the day.
Yeah.
JJ Redick wasn't putting the ball on the floor and getting to the rim.
Yeah.
Let's stop it right there.
Yeah.
Buddy Hield can extend a 2-man game between the two of those, between him and Joel, when the big fella comes back. And Scotty, man, I have to believe that this early morning trade, hopefully expecting another one to be done, it pushes the envelope that Joel is going to return. Why would you do this if he's not?
Yeah.
What is the sense of making a Buddy Hield trade and let's just say another trade if he's not coming back?
This is a great fit next to Embiid, right? Like this isn't.
Yes.
That's why I said they still need to do a secondary move for a big man, because this isn't a trade that necessarily speaks to me as keeping the Sixers afloat,
like
right? Like he's not going to be the difference of that. If they stay afloat with Buddy Hield, it's because other guys get healthy and they're able to contribute what they're supposed to the lineup, like Tobias, right? Nicholas Batum, DeAnthony Melton, those type of guys. It would take a team as a whole. But if you go out and you get a backup big, I think now we're really cooking with some hot grease. So
yeah,
I do feel you there. That does speaks more to Embiid returning,
man.
Because Buddy's going to benefit so much. Embiid's going to benefit. Those two guys coming together, they're going to benefit off each other.
I agree. I'm sorry, I can't help it. It's just, and listen, I don't
the
mean
reactions.
Well, I've seen all great reactions except one, which of course comes from 94 WIP's very own Elliot Shore Parks, who quote tweeted the Woj tweet about the trade and said, "This is a lot for a rental Buddy Hield. This is a lot. Furkan Korkmaz, second round draft capital, and Marcus Morris for money. That's a lot to give up for Buddy Hield, Scotty."
And the thing, it's like we said earlier when it first happened, it's like you get Buddy Hield in here now. Let him see what it's like to play beside Embiid come the postseason, right? When Embiid returns, let him see what it's like to play next to Maxey and have that floor spacing ability, right? And just be a more integral part of the team. Like he was falling out of the important pieces of the Pacers rotation. So he comes here, he gets a refresh, and now you get him to see that he likes playing next to Embiid before free agency. Maybe you get him back in free agency for maybe a little bit less, right?
Yeah. With all that money we're opening up in the offseason, right?
It's got to go somewhere. And you can argue that Buddy Hield, while he's not a star player, he's at the top class of role players. Yeah. He's a specialist. And he's good. He would get a nice contract for you. I'm happy they did it, man. I'm not going to sit here and complain about second round picks. Kyle Neubeck actually reported just now that the Pacers had been trying to get a first-round pick out of Philadelphia for Buddy Hield as of yesterday, and they were unable to do it. So
sorry about that one. Hey, man, you talked about Daryl Morey. Maybe teams not wanting to work with him because if he holds firm, doesn't give Indiana exactly what they want, and still finds a way to get the deal done early on deadline day.
Yeah. This is a good point too, Brett. The real hoop analysts know, man. Derek Bodner. He knows what it's going to do. I mean, like I said, not only for Embiid and when he comes back, but just the floor spacing. Guys, we have watched Jaden Springer take threes the last two games. We have watched Kelly Oubre airball 2 to 3 to 4 threes over the last, 3 to 4 games, right? We've seen him, come up short on how many three-point attempts. I mean, we've gone through the ringer here. I think we should be a little happy about Buddy Hield, man. I think
Evan Massey tweeted, it's a good point, man. I mean, they have to be planning something, but he said, interesting trade for the Pacers. They're wanting to compete this year, and moving Buddy for Morris/Korkmaz moves them further away from that goal. I think there could be more coming from Indy. So yeah, I mean, if you're a Pacers fan, you're probably sitting back for a second here and going, what are we doing? Right?
Yeah, because I will say, it's like I told you earlier, it is weird for the Pacers to trade Buddy Hield to a team they're trying to get ahead of in the standings, but maybe they I don't know, maybe they see something in Marcus Morris that they could put into their lineup. I don't know.
Sure, go ahead,
go for it.
I mean, you're already bad on defense.
Maybe it's Korkmaz, man.
You might as well put Marcus Morris on the floor. I mean, I don't mean to disrespect Marcus Morris. He's literally the one guy I told you out of all the rumored Sixers to go that I would want to keep the most out of everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, the dude's got some slow feet, Scotty. Slow feet and a lack of awareness where to be on defense.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know. We'll see what Buddy Hield can do on the defensive side of things, but
I saw a tweet. It said the league leader in threes over the last 5 years is headed to Philly. The league leader in threes over the last 5 seasons. I mean, you want to talk about a team that has been struggling to shoot from the perimeter, gets probably the league's one of the league's best, right?
Yeah.
Right. Had to watch what I say because there is a certain man out in California that plays for Golden State that I almost tripped up.
It is crazy, man. It is crazy because it's just something we've been begging for. We have been begging for Buddy Hield over the last couple of years, trade deadlines, so on and so forth, even when he was in Sacramento.
And I think before, maybe like 2 seasons ago, the contract just didn't make much sense at the moment.
Yeah.
Like Buddy Hield had 3 or 4 years left.
Maybe you still have Seth Curry or something,
right,
that can kind of play that role.
Right. But you get him for less than 20 mil on this expiring deal. And you moved on. Marcus Morris was making a decent amount of money obviously the money had to work. Interesting note. Again, you're going to have to do what you can, but the Sixers did open up a roster spot with this move as well.
Yeah, that is true, man. That is true.
You never know. You never know. Is that a Kyle Lowry opt-out spot, and then you do what you can for the trade, right? Because we'll see. I was planning on wrapping this thing up.
Man,
dropped, and I
was like, oh man, I'm just trying to think through everything. It's got my mind racing right
now. Welcome to the party.
Whew, it's got my mind racing because I'm like, man, could they possibly trade Tobias and find somebody that would fit better? You know what I mean? Like, could they? Like, I don't know. Hey, I don't know.
Detroit wants Tobias.
Go ahead and send him out. You get Bojan. Maybe you bring in Alec Burks and I don't know, an Isaiah Stewart backup big. I don't know. I don't know. I'm spinning right now.
Daryl can send them with a box of crumble cookies. It's not a big deal.
The Danny Green rumors, that those have been something of substance over the last couple weeks.
Which there's no way that can happen because I'm pretty sure I saw from Sham's tweet that Danny Green will be live with him on the deadline special show.
Yeah, I did see that. Danny Green's a free agent though.
Yeah.
So he could get signed. I just don't know if that's like the answer.
That was already here. I will say, maybe to wrap up this show, man. TR, we appreciate you coming in, man. I will say, not to be incredibly rude, but one of the underlying things that we haven't discussed here is that Furkan Korkmaz never has to play in a 76ers uniform again. And if you know me, that might be the biggest part of this trade. If you've listened to me over the last couple of years, that might be the best part of this trade. I don't mean to be disrespectful. Man. I don't mean to be rude to Furk. But holy shit, I had just about enough of having to see that guy play and sometimes play in very meaningful basketball games, Scotty, over the last couple of years. And I no longer have to deal with it. So thank you, Daryl Morey. Even though I should be yelling at Daryl Morey because he signed him to a 3-year deal last summer. But anyway,
he fixed it.
He got out of it now. He fixed his mistake. No more Furkan.
Guys.
Joel signed off on the Furkan trade. Hey, Furk's been wanting to get out of here for a minute anyway, so he gets his wish.
Don't know where he's going to get playing time on that team, but he gets his wish, man. Good luck to him. I can't say it was a pleasure, but definitely wish him the best luck at his next destination. Once again, can't say it was a pleasure, though.
Yeah, I don't wish him luck at his next destination. No. And here's why. Like, I wish him luck in life, but like, Furkan's going to go and start shooting 43% from 3 in Indiana and looking like a solid role player? Because I'm tired of seeing that shit happen too. Guys that just look like they cannot play in Philadelphia, move on and just do what they do, right?
Isaiah Joe's, right? Yeah.
Right. Now, Isaiah Joe maybe was younger, had a little bit more promise, but when I did watch Isaiah Joe, I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't banging on the table for Doc Rivers to be playing. The dude couldn't play defense. He couldn't put the ball on the floor, really. He could shoot threes. He goes to Oklahoma City and, knocks down 8 threes a game, it feels like. Yeah.
This is true. And that is why I'd say it is a much bigger deal now to go out and get a big that can help keep you afloat. Because while Buddy does bring the offensive prowess, he brings the shooting, defense is a different story. He can try harder. Maybe it's a better system. Maybe Nick Nurse can get more out of him on that end. But you're definitely going to need somebody to help protect the paint. They need that anyways, though. Like, it's not like they got worse on the defensive end. They just got better on the offensive end because there wasn't anybody out there guarding at the end of the day anyways. I mean, there's times where Oubre looks like a matador, right? So there's a lot of different avenues. But I do think big thing now is getting that big man that can start in place of Paul Reed. Revert Paul Reed. I keep saying backup center. Revert Paul Reed back to the backup center position and get a starting center until Embiid can get back here. So
agreed.
I would say that's my main priority. But if they bring in like a playmaker then as well, like another guard, I would not be against that, man. I wouldn't at the end of the day. I would say I would like them to be a more of a two-way guard, if so, or two-way.
Scotty, there's not much that Daryl Morey can do today that would probably disappoint me. Like,
at this point,
outside of not doing anything else, nothing would really disappoint me. Like, that's the only thing. If he just stood pat after this trade for Buddy Hield, because, I mean, what's the one thing people are going to get the most upset about? That he overpaid for somebody? Well, if it comes to draft picks, like, look, again, and I don't foresee if he wouldn't budge on a first for Buddy Hield, I don't think Daryl's budging to give somebody multiple firsts and overpay for a backup big or anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just say he was. Yeah. Might it not be a great optics look, right? But I'll still be happy. Do you know why? Because it's going to make the team better right now, right? Like, if he gave up 2 firsts for Andre Drummond and something else, optically, probably not the best trade. But visually on a basketball floor, I get to watch a much better product right now and in this postseason run, hopefully. Because that's another thing, man. Like, I want Andre Drummond back so bad right now because you go back to that year when we traded for James, obviously. And what was the thing? What was the conversation every night with him and Embiid? It's the best backup big Joel Embiid has ever had playing behind him in his career.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to experience that in the playoffs. Now, obviously, we traded for James Harden at the time. No one, well, at least I didn't care. I know some people cared. But I didn't care that he wasn't here anymore. Now, I would just love to see a Joel Embiid, Andre Drummond 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
In the postseason.
Yeah.
Because to have that guy coming off the bench against the Celtics compared to Paul Reed coming off the bench, Scotty, think just about how much more comfortable you feel in a playoff, in a game 6, in a game 5.
Yeah.
That dude gets to play. Paul Reed sits on the bench. Yeah, I feel a lot better about our chances in that moment.
Yeah. Even as a defender, I mean, I get it. He's not the swiftest of feet, right? He's a big guy, but he's going to be better than Paul Reed as providing a big body in the middle to intimidate guys driving in the lane. Like, that's the thing right now. Guys are just driving in the lane whenever they want. They're getting whatever shot they want in the paint. And at least with Drummond, you have a big body there that can anchor the center of the defense, right? Even if he's not a great defender per se, he can still anchor the defense better than anything we have. And then everything that comes off the glass is his. That's the biggest thing for me. No more offensive rebounding for the other teams, man. Get the ball off the glass and let's get the ball into Maxi's hands and push it. And I think that's something that Drummond will help with significantly.
And so, by the way, this is from Bobby Marks after the trade. Before the trade, Philadelphia had 6 second-round picks available to move in a deal. They keep all 3 firsts, 2 of which are this summer, improve the roster, and keep flexibility this offseason. Indiana was pressed against the luxury tax in 24-25 if they retained Heel and Obi Toppin. So that's why they decided, I guess, to move on from Buddy Hield. But for the Sixers' sake, you have 3 first-round draft picks and 3 second-round draft picks still available at your disposal today.
Yeah, plenty of resources.
You have, you have ways to make a move, man.
Yeah, my head is spinning, man. I'm gonna have to get off here and hit my calculator or something, and just try different things.
I know you're about to hit something else.
I'm sitting here thinking, what about D-Melt in a first for Brogdon or something? I don't know. There's a lot of
where my head went. You know where my head has gone over the last couple games. Has Jaden Springer driven up his stock at all?
Attach him on to a Rocco?
Yeah. Then you'll really find some Sixers fans anti that move. Trust me. But yeah, has he, with his defense against Jordan Clarkson and Steph and Trey, has he driven up his price a little bit? KJ Martin scored a little bit last night. Is he a young asset that some teams might have?
I'm attached to nobody on this team outside of Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and Nick Nurse. Those are the only entities within this organization that I'm attached to and want to keep. Yeah. Outside of that, anybody and everybody else can go if it makes the team better. And that's the way I look at it, man. Fucking Korkmaz, Rocco. Like, what's going to help this team win a championship, dog? Like,
bro, people are already posting their goodbye tweets to some of these players.
The only one I semi-feel bad for is Marcus Morris because he's actually from Philadelphia. Right,
no, he's got the key to the city. He can come back whenever he wants.
Yeah, there you go.
You do gotta feel.
You can come back anytime you want. Play in the road.
You gotta feel for him a bit, bro, because he already got moved once to start the season.
Yeah,
across country, but ends up back home, incredibly happy. The vibes are high. 3 weeks ago, dude gets the key to the city. Whole team's there celebrating him, and then he gets moved. Whoa. Where's Daniel House going?
What happened?
Daniel House and a it refreshed. Wait, Daniel House and a 2024 second round pick via the Knicks to the Pistons. Well, Woj, would you like to explain for whom?
And it looks like the Oklahoma City Thunder are finalizing a trade to send guard Trey Mann and Davis Bertans to the Charlotte Hornets for Gordon Hayward. Which I think that is a pretty good deal.
I don't know. Unless it's just a swap. Yeah, no, it's D-House and a second to the Pistons. It's not for a second.
Via the Knicks to the Pistons. That is weird. What could it be, though?
I mean, it can't. Yeah, that's the thing. It can't be. It can't be anything crazy. Maybe it's D-House in a second for a pick swap or something. A better second that Morey can flip.
You don't do that without having an idea of something else, though.
Yeah, no, this would be a very now, and again, mind you, if it's just for a second round draft pick, Scotty, that opens up another roster spot with D-House gone.
And it clears cap space, right? Like, I don't know exactly what D-House makes, but he's getting traded, no player coming back. That should open up cap space as well.
Hold on. I just saw his tweet. God damn it. This Twitter sucks.
Yeah, I got it.
The move gives the Sixers the salary cap cushion to sign buyout players post-deadline.
Kyle Lowry.
Including the possibility of Charlotte's Kyle Lowry should he become available. All right.
Interesting.
But that doesn't make any sense. What did we get back in return? Like, we didn't just trade. Nothing. I think the pick we got was one of ours from the Knicks previously.
Oh, okay. I got you. So this is just a money move for the Sixers.
Yeah, but we had to have gotten something in return. We didn't just give a second in house to the Pistons for nothing. That's
maybe
not a trade.
Just money considerations,
cash considerations, or maybe like a second round pick swap. I mean, I know I see a couple people are a little not upset, but saying had me hyped for a second. But I mean, if you just saw the trade, you would have.
I don't understand why people are flipping out over this though. Like, somebody said, I swear to God, if this is for cash considerations, like what does it matter, man? It's Daniel fucking House. Like, what are we complaining about? Did you not watch this guy play the last few weeks? Like, this is a blessing to get him out of the rotation. I'd rather see Ricky Council out there, man. Like, no, I'm not even joking.
No Cork and no House still?
No Cork and no Daniel House?
I have to believe in my gut that Robert Covington's on the move today at some point.
Yeah. Morey's saying no attachments. Don't get comfortable.
I just keep refreshing Twitter now. Anyone watching this live stream is probably like, what are these two doing? Just looking down at their phones.
You have to, man. I mean, man, Gordon Hayward though. They got him for Trey
Yeah, that's
Man
a
and
nice move for Oklahoma
Thomas
City, dude.
Bertans, right? Like
That
two
is a
guys
nice
that are
move
not
for
even
Oklahoma
in their
City.
rotation. Gives
A
them
little
playoff
veteran
experience.
presence as well to them.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
we get out of here before another
Yeah,
bomb?
let's get out of here. We'll be here all day with Marshawn Lynch and TR and Brett. But
I
no,
do
we got
see over 25 people
a
in
bunch
here
of
right
people
now.
in
So,
here right
guys,
now.
if you are new to this channel, we're live here. I know it's Thursday. We're normally live Monday, Wednesday, Fridays in the morning, as well as pregame shows. We'll be back, obviously, once the Sixers are a little bit closer to the playoffs for Sixers pregame live, and once the Philly season starts for Phillies pregame lives as well. If you're new here, please, we appreciate each and every one of you for commenting and watching. Smash that subscribe button to YouTube channel. It's free.
Yep.
We're on our road to our first 100 subscribers here on the new channel. So we appreciate all of you guys for the support. But I think that is going to wrap up this Thursday edition. Happy trade deadline day, everybody. Sixers, Daryl Morey, as active as we could have probably hoped for over this last 30 minutes.
He's alive. He's alive.
And it seems like more moves are on the horizon. So we will be live right here on this YouTube channel, as well as the DSM Scotty Talks NBA YouTube channel as well, around 5 p.m. later today, to break down the Sixers full list of moves, as well as more moves made around the NBA. So check us out there, guys. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM, have a great rest of your trade deadline.
Happy Thursday, everybody.